This is Emaar, Dubai's biggest and most famous developer. It launched over 50 projects and did over $15 billion in sales in 2024 alone. But what you might not know is that if you want to invest in real estate in Dubai, you can achieve a VIP status in companies like Emaar, Damat and Ellington. What does the status mean? How do you get it? And how does it help you to secure the best units and financial terms? Today, I'll share 5 proven methods to become a VIP with Dubai developers and how we can help you achieve this. Starting with making a bulk deal. A bulk deal means that instead of buying a single unit, you acquire at least 5. The absolute minimum you need is $1 million, but it varies a lot depending on the developer. And if you want to invest in big government-backed developers like Emaar, $5 million is probably the lower end. As a bulk investor, you can negotiate multiple financial parameters that I'll talk about later in this video. But what's maybe even more important is that you can get a choice, which might sound ridiculous to many overseas investors, but in highly demanded projects in Dubai, most investors either buy a unit they are offered or get nothing. Bulk buyers are the absolute priority. They go first and of course choose the best available units. So the staircase to becoming the absolute VIP through bulk deals is as follows. If you have around $1 million, you can get 5 studios. Mid-sized and small developers might consider that enough to treat you almost like a bulk investor. The discount isn't huge in this case, maybe up to 5%. Then you could buy a full floor or even multiple floors. At a minimum, that will require around $2.5 million, assuming it's an affordable project. The discount varies a lot depending on the developer, the project, and the purchase volume. The lower end is 2–3%, and the highest we've seen was 30%. Another option is buying a package of units. Some developers even offer preset packages. For example, you might spend $7 million and get 6 units. 1 studio, 2 1-bed apartments, 3 2-bed apartments, and 1 3-bedroom. And the king of the bulk deals is the buyer who acquires an entire building. Not every project can be sold in full to a single buyer, and of course the developer will run their due diligence. But besides the benefits coming directly from the developer, buying in such a large volume gives you additional advantages. First, because you buy with better financial terms, you can sell part of the units at handover at a higher premium than everyone else. Second, by owning a substantial part of the building, you become a market maker. The price you set, whether for rent or sale, becomes the market price. If done smartly, by releasing apartments one after another, you can significantly increase your earnings. Third, if you own a whole building and rent it out short-term, you've basically created a hotel business. But residential properties, unlike hotels, don't require you to pay corporate income tax or value-added tax. However, making a bulk purchase is an option for only a small percentage of investors. But there is something literally anyone can do: come in early. Because the strongest projects are often sold out within hours. Take a look at the big launches on Dubai Islands at the end of 2024. Demand was so much higher than supply that many agents had to disappoint their clients and tell them they were getting nothing. So one of the easiest ways to get a unit in such projects is to buy before it's launched. Here's the typical timeline. First, developer sales reps and some trusted agents learn that the project will be launched soon. At this stage, there are usually no pictures, no unit mix, and no project name, just the plot location and some basic info. Normally, developers acknowledge the trust of investors who are willing to pay this early. Second, a few weeks later, there is a marketing launch. The developer marketing team buys ads, organizes sales events, sometimes even booking stadiums, and shares brochures with more detailed information. By this point, you can still get a good unit, but with every hour, your chances drop significantly, because investors are putting down EOIs non-stop. And third, on the sales day, the best most buyers can expect is leftovers. But there is a way to still become a VIP with Dubai developers at any stage of the process. Putting down more money. Do it whenever you can, and I mean it. Let's say the refundable amount required to express interest in a $1 million apartment is $25,000 US. The boldest move you can make is to pay the full sum in cash right away. But even putting down $200,000 will make a huge difference. And it's exactly how much you'd need to pay as a down payment in a few weeks if you buy the apartment. Even if the developer representative says you don't have to do it and it brings you no benefit, you should still do it. See, at some point you'll want to negotiate something. And whatever it is, you'll have more power because the sales manager doesn't want to refund the big amount they've already received. Because this particular sales rep will have to explain to their manager or sales director why they couldn't close the deal after you prepaid such a substantial amount. And nobody in this pyramid wants to get harsh feedback that they can't sell. Also, let's say you come too late and all the good units are taken. You should still put down a bigger amount because there will be cancelled units. Other buyers, for whatever reason, might decide not to proceed with the purchase. It doesn't mean there is something wrong with the property. Usually it's about someone's financial situation. So at that moment, the cancelled unit is offered to other buyers. And guess who gets priority? Those who show the money, of course. And there is also one more group that developers treat as VIP customers. Those they consider loyal. Serial investors who repeatedly buy from a particular developer get special treatment. It may seem that you need a lot of time to reach this status, but there is a way to get there much earlier. For example, we recently helped a client invest $1 million. He wanted to diversify his investment and buy 3 or 4 studios in different locations across Dubai. We shared this plan with one of the developers during negotiations, and they made an offer. Their sales rep said, "Look, we have a building in Business Bay, also one in GVC, and one in Production City. Why don't you buy all 3 or 4 apartments from us in different projects? And in exchange, we'll give you a discount." Normally, buying in different projects doesn't qualify as a bulk deal, and 3 or 4 units isn't enough for that. But in this case, the developer treated it as a serial investment. However, there is a shortcut to becoming a VIP no matter your situation. Hire a top team to help you. Strong brokers, agents, or advisors, of course, help with selecting the right property. But their work shouldn't stop there, because securing the unit can be the real challenge. A real case from December 2024. The developer decided to apply a new allocation process in a super high demanded project. The number of people who expressed interest far exceeded the supply. The process was the following. Each sales team at the developer is assigned a unit. The team's manager gives that unit to one of 5 team members. Then the sales rep who got the unit offers it to agents and their clients in order they decide themselves. You can imagine how important it is to have someone who is on the ground, fighting for you and acting in your best interest. And that's exactly who I work with. If you're looking to invest in Dubai properties and need someone who'll have your back, reach out to my team. Call us, WhatsApp us, or click the link in the description. We're available 7 days a week. Now that we've discussed the methods to get this VIP status, the big question remains: what can it get you, besides priority? Before we dive into specific parameters you can negotiate, I have to warn you that with some developers, you can't negotiate much, or at all. And if the unit or your place in the queue isn't secured, you'll just waste time trying to get better conditions. That said, the first parameter is priced, of course. Let me quickly give you some examples to illustrate what you can achieve in different scenarios. Small boutique developer, 1 unit, 2% discount just for asking. Medium-sized reputable developer, 1 unit, 2% discount for paying 10% of the property value before the official launch. Big international developer, 1 unit, 4% discount for paying the full amount in cash. Medium-sized international developer, 1 unit, 10% discount for paying the full amount in cash. One of the biggest developers in Dubai, 12 townhouses, 5% discount for bulk buying. Big private developer, 2 floors, 20% discount for bulk purchasing. But while everyone focuses on price, there are other significant aspects you can negotiate, like the DLD fee, which can substantially reduce your overall investment cost. This is 4% of the property value paid to the Dubai Land Department shortly after the sales purchase agreement is signed. Not paying it is not the same as getting a 4% discount. Let me explain. Let's say you're acquiring a $1 million property. In the first case, you get a 4% discount.
The cost of property acquisition, excluding admin fees, is $998,000. This breaks down into $960,000 as the discounted property price and $38,000 as the DLD fee. So to purchase the property, you need to pay $192,000 for the 20% down payment and $38,000 for the DLD fee, totaling $230,000 upfront. In the second case, you get a DLD waiver. The total property acquisition cost is $1 million, just $2,000 more than in the first case. However, your upfront payment is only $200,000 for the 20% down payment, since you don't pay the DLD fee. This means that your initial financial burden is $30,000 lower. Next, let's talk about a payment plan. Even if the developer doesn't want to change the price, you can still negotiate an improved payment plan. This can include not only changing the structure, like 50-50 instead of 60-40, but also adjusting the payment dates. Let me show you two real payment plans a client of ours secured. It was the pre-sale stage of a super hyped waterfront project. The property is a $2 million apartment. The first plan is a standard one, 70-30. This means 70% of the price and the DLD fee are paid during construction, which is $1,480,000, and the remaining 30% or $600,000 is paid on handover. The structure involves payments at 4 points after the reservation date, tied to different phases of construction. First payment in 60 days, $200,000. Second payment in 120 days, $200,000. Remaining payments, $100,000 each. Now, here is what the client secured after some negotiation. The plan was changed from 70-30 to 60-40. This reduced the amount paid during construction to $1,280,000, including the DLD fee. The amount on handover was increased to $800,000. Additionally, the first two payments were reduced from $200,000 to $100,000 each, and the payment dates were pushed for later. The first payment in 90 days after reservation instead of 50. The second payment in 150 days after reservation instead of 120. And the later payments were adjusted similarly. Also, one small but useful thing you can negotiate is delaying the down payment. If you've already made a booking payment, many developers can agree to a 1-month extension. And finally, let's move on to service charges. Despite the fact that their size is usually not really established that early, you can still get a waiver, meaning you won't pay service charges for some time, like a year or two, and that can be substantial. Let me give you an example. Let's say you bought an 800 square feet apartment in GVC for $250,000 and you rent it out for $18,500. So your cash-on-cash return, if you don't pay service charges, is 7.4%. But the service charges in such properties are around $4 per square foot, which is $3,200 for this apartment. This reduces your take-home profit to $15,300, which is just 6.1% in terms of cash-on-cash returns. But even if you are a VIP, developers won't just give away all these incentives. So here are some small negotiation tips that might help. First, show you are serious. If you are asking for benefits but won't even share your ID when the developer's representative asks, everyone feels that you are just window shopping. The same applies to putting down an expression of interest. If you don't pay the few percent fully refundable payment, people on the other side might doubt you have the money to pay for their apartment. Another thing you could do is write down the check but not hand it over. Like if you want to get a property for $5 million instead of $5.3 million, show the $5 million check to the developer's sales rep. That shows that you mean what you are saying and aren't just talking. Of course, for this, you or your trusted agent should come in person. That's the next tip – meeting in person. Zoom is better than chatting on WhatsApp, and showing up in person is better than Zoom. We've seen many cases where the difference between a hard no and a yes to getting a discount was just making an in-person meeting between the client and the developer's sales manager. Third, don't limit negotiation to just one condition. If nothing can be done with price, try to get a better payment plan structure. If it's 60-40 and you can't change that, then push payments to the later stages of the development. But getting VIP status in just any developer won't help you make a great investment. To help you choose the ones that are worth it, we made a video on the 10 best Dubai's developers. Check it out.